All right, everybody, we got a highlight on our hands. So, the group stage continues of the Nations Cup, and today we got a bit of a banger. We got some sad news as well. Before we are jumping into all of these things, though, a quick reminder that we are here in the Nations Cup. We have in total 28 teams that signed up for the event, representing 17 different countries. So it's a big first phase of the tournament. $10,000 are on the line, so a lot of teams signed up from tons of different countries. We're completely overwhelmed with how many teams would sign up, and some of the countries were really also surprising. We have a team from Brazil, we have a team from UAE. All of the games being played out on Europe. And, well, right now we're heading into Group E, our fifth group here. And it's been a blast of a tournament so far. Now, in total we have 7 groups with 4 teams each. They're playing out a round robin, and the first place advances to the second phase of the tournament. And in the second phase, we'll have 8 teams in total, meaning we're still missing 1 team. And that team is going to be decided through a mini qualifier where all of the second places of the groups will participate in. So if you find yourself in one of those groups, it's actually quite important that you either get first or second slot. And we'll see what's happening here in Group E. The cool thing is that we have now Sweden 1 finally playing. I already called it a little bit. Breeze is on the lineup. He doesn't play today. Again, they have obviously sub players, so Breeze is also on the lineup and will most likely play in the future. But we have Bubi here, for example, and we got Quacknix. So outside of others like Captain Rex, Azzy, and Sven, we now have a couple of former HGC players also hailing from the past. And we can get some Quacknix drafts maybe. The Quacknix shot calls as well. I'm super happy that he's actually playing. Ever since he retired, I believe this is the first tournament where he plays just for fun a little bit. I've seen him occasionally jump into Battle.net to just like crank out an ARAM or 2. But right now, yep, we have him back here. The Paddle King went to become a Paddle Pro for Sweden. Plays on the national team, to my knowledge. I don't really know what's currently going on with his career there, if this is still ongoing or if he has shifted again. No idea. Has married, has 1 kid at a minimum that I know of. So yeah, Quacknix, lots of stuff happening in his life. And now we have him here again. They're playing against Team Ukraine, which we've already saw a glimpse of just previously. So Parker and the boys are going to try and see what they can do here. Now, if you are actually looking at the groups, obviously in every single series I show you usually a screenshot before the match starts and then a screenshot at the end of the match to visualize a little bit which group you're currently focusing on, what the standings are. But if you take a closer look at that, you will realize that the group that has USA number 1 in them has already seen matches. You didn't miss anything, but I have some sad news to share as well, because the top team from the US has disbanded. They have withdrawn from the tournament, meaning that everybody else in the group got a free win and has now 3 points to their name. Now, I'm not 100% sure what exactly happened. There might have been a little bit of in-team drama. Maybe the scrims didn't go the way that they wanted and they couldn't really get as many wins and play as successful. But I know that in the past they were thinking about swapping a couple of their players out. They have been training and scrimming for actually several weeks right now. But just a few days ago, they told us, look, we are going to draw back from the tournament. It's a little bit of a shame. We still have another American team, but not quite on the same level. I would have loved for the USA to come in with an absolute top team. And that initially, at least, was the plan. But now they have withdrawn the team from the competition. And, yeah. Unfortunate. To be fair, they have to play with a time disadvantage, or not disadvantage, but with a time gap. So for them, the game started a little bit earlier in the morning. I think a lot of the guys are typically from Los Angeles, so we would have accommodated that, let them play later on in the day, so it's not too bad, but they would have to play in the morning. And also there is a bit of a ping disadvantage of like 100 to 100 milliseconds usually. So all of these things are obviously valid reasons that make this a bit harder for them. I would still have loved to see them here in the tournament. It didn't work out that way. So just if you look at the groups, then now you know why exactly that is. But okay, so as we're heading into Infernal Shrines, we got our best of 3 series over here. Keep in mind, with 28 teams signing up and this being an open qualifier, that obviously immediately means that we have a lot of skill discrepancies within groups as well. Once that we're heading into the second phase of the tournament, that is going to change a bit, because at that point we'll only have some of the top teams. We have whittled it down to 8, but right now we are still in a phase where you will see your occasional blowout. This, on the other hand, is going to be a pretty important one, because you could argue that those two will try and fight for the number 1 and the number 2 slot within the group. Ukraine has a fairly strong team here, and if you are somebody that followed the Heroes of the Storm scene over the last couple of years, you should recognize pretty much all of the players that are over on the red team side as well. I don't think I have to really reintroduce Whoopi and Quacknix over here, but the problem that they have is that while they have obviously the mechanics and also the game knowledge, they haven't really played as much over the last few years. Now, they've been scrimming, they've been actually practicing a whole lot, but we'll see how much that works out. We also had a new patch, a little bit of a balance patch. We're going to talk about this. Basically, Blizzard has now adopted exactly the approach that Trixler and I were already theorizing about just last week. So pretty common sense adaptations from them. We're going to talk about it in just a moment, especially in the context of Muradin now being chosen by Ukraine as we're getting ready for game number 1. Medivh composition for them as well. And then we get, last but not least, for the sweets, for the meatballs, Vala, as we are heading into Infernal Shrines, ladies and gentlemen. The blue team starting over on the left, Team Sweden, with Captain Rex on Malfurion. We got Whoopi on Blaze, Quatnix on Genji. Awesome to see him in a Heroes of the Storm game again. This is going to be fun. As he is playing Vala, and then we got Sven at the front line with Jojo. As over on the right side, we got the Ukrainian team with Lopaka on Sylvanas. Virgil on Leoric. Yoshiro is playing Anduin for the boys in game number 1. Roby Kenobi with Medivh, so this is definitely going to be a big one. Medivh in action. Good Medivh player can change the outcome of a game very quickly. And then Blu-ray is playing Muradin, and Blizzard has now changed the requirements a little bit. 40 stacks required for the first reward, 160 for the mythic reward. And this is exactly what Trixler and I talked about last week, that they will very likely make an adaptation like this. And the reason for that is actually fairly simple, and we explained this last week. What they were doing is they brought in a mythic reward, which is of course insanely powerful. And what they tried to avoid is that everybody is just completing that reward with zero problems whatsoever in every single game, and then Muradin turns into an absolute monster. So what they did is they just aimed a little bit too high, made it very, very difficult to achieve, and then they collected data from the games that were played with Muradin and saw, okay, how many Muradin players were actually able to accomplish the mythic reward, and then looked at the numbers, decided, okay, this is not enough, so now they are adjusting it down to make it a little bit more achievable without making it too easy. And if they are not happy with the outcome right now, there might be adjustments in the future on this as well. But I like that approach a lot. They bring in big rewards for a couple of heroes, they make them very hard to achieve, and then they can always, you know, tweak the numbers a little bit to make this easier to accomplish. And this is what we're now getting. So we might see a few games, maybe not necessarily in competitive play, but at least more so in the solo queue play where Muradin is going to get the mythic reward. Time will tell. 160, a little bit more achievable, still very hard, as it should be for a mythic reward that gives you that much bang for your buck. Now, this is going to be a pretty epic one. Again, Sweden playing with such a lineup is insane, and I can't wait for the games that they're going to play in this group. It's going to be an absolute highlight and a treat here. And the question is, of course, as always, how strong are these guys right now? Because we've seen some of the Swedish players, of the HGC players, coming back in the past to participate in the well, in a Meta Madness tournament, for example, or maybe a Banshee Cup for a little bit. And oftentimes the results weren't quite there because they just don't have that practice. They don't have enough time in the game. But for an event like this, where there's so much money on the line, they trained a lot more. Are they now back to their old form? Do they need a little bit longer? Will they get stronger as the tournament continues? Or are we going to get upsets also early in the group stage? Obviously, you want to have first seed in the group, because if you get the first slot, then you're guaranteed to participate in the next phase of the tournament. Second place still has a shot, but that last chance qualifier is not going to be easy. Only 1 out of 7 teams that will participate in it will advance to phase 2 of the tournament, so that is not a whole lot. So you're much better off if you are able to claim that #1 spot. Now, so far we haven't really seen anything too crazy. A couple of camps claimed, the blue team slightly ahead, so Sweden has been able to lock in 2 out of the 3 at the bottom of the map. And now that we're heading into the first shrine, teams are getting ready for the battle right there. Sylvanas keeps stacking. We have Medivh currently sitting at 8, Vala obviously with an auto attack build, and then Muradin sitting at 19 stacks. Keep in mind his Pierce comes in at 40, so he's already halfway there. And in comes the hit on the shrine. So, how is Ukraine doing over here? Whoopi is already in position with Blaze as he's moving in on the shrine, trying to get his team the lead. But they are trailing just a tiny little bit behind right now when it comes to the shrine minions. Ukraine, on the other hand, has to retreat with Muradin, starting to drop low. Medivh always ready to help them out with another portal, is also assisting Leo, but he gets stunned out, and then Anduin with the pull. A lot of layers of defense here for Ukraine, as both of the teams have now level 7 talents available to them. Vala, lots of attacks coming in too, is doing well thus far. And yeah, not looking too bad here. So in this case, 0-0. And, well, Sylvanas is stacking, Vala is closing in slowly on the 50 stacks, but the first Punisher goes over to Team Sweden. They get the Mortar Punisher. Not a single kill yet so far, though. So both of the teams heavily moving into the fight and trying to, well, get the edge. Nobody losing a single hero just yet. So this could still be a very strong defense for Team Ukraine. They got Sylvanas down at the bottom of the map already, making sure that she's getting some additional wave clear in. But the defense top side is looking good. Wall destroyed, not a lot of damage on the fort itself. Obviously, with the Mortar Punisher, this is one of the weaker ones that we have in the rotation. So, should be mentioned here too. But both of the teams, at least for now, on eye level. With Vala slowly ramping up her damage, but then we have Quacknix on Genji, who's obviously also going to play a role here. Especially, of course, on the shot calls, one would assume. They have Sven on the team as well, so I suppose they will have to kind of check a little bit how they're going to organize that. But here comes Muradin again with a few more hits, sitting at 27 now. Needs another 13 for quest reward number 1, and Medivh is sitting at 22. For him, kind of important that he gets this done as quickly as he possibly can. Because, well, could get a little bit dicey if he is still sitting low when we're hitting level 10 abilities for the blue team, with them trying to aggressively punish the backline, especially, of course, since Genji could make an aggressive play there. So, next fight over the camp this time. Ukraine willing to commit here, but Whoopi is coming in, gets the jet propulsion, only against Muradin though. Leo moves out, didn't die, trade not activated, and Muradin is holding the spot for now. Has to jump out though, and they give the camp up. Sweden able to take another mercenary camp, and they by now have a half-level lead, which results with the early level 10 ability. They got heroics now, no surprises thus far, and damage in the middle of the map as they're breaking the tower and the gate down. And we get Dragon Blade. No X-Strike over here for the Swedes. Quacknix comes in with the Dragon Blade, goes a bit old school on this. Down at the bottom of the map, the fort has also taken damage, so Sweden been really busy. And with level 10 abilities on the side of Team Ukraine, we're now getting Light Bomb. We got the ley line, 30 stacks for Medivh. Mid lane, Sylvanas is all over the place. She needs to try and just push these lanes back out. Has also 130 stacks to her name already. So looking strong on that. 35 stacks for Muradin, so he is nearly there for the first reward. And Vala has some extra damage added to her auto attacks already. Yeah, it's going to be a spicy one. We're 7 minutes into the game, and we haven't seen a kill yet. 7 minutes in, not a single kill. As I said, these are two teams that everybody expects to do well in this group. So it really matters that you are starting to get your kills in. The red team has much more playtime over the last couple of years. The blue team, of course, some of the players very active. Sven, just to highlight one of them. But with Whoopi and Quacknix here, we have that knowledge, the tournament experience, the HGC experience, the shot call experience, but not as much game time lately. So there's definitely a couple of play schools also colliding. But at least for now, we're having a lot of push going on here. For Quacknix, it's actually quite nice that we went back to more macro play. He was always one of the shot callers that focused a lot more on trying to control the map and making it difficult for the opponent's team. And you can tell this already a bit from the style that is being played by the blue team. Just looking at how many structures have taken damage here. The blue team is all over the place right now. Next shrine is up, and that's where the party continues. Muradin has his first reward, so that means that we now have Pierce and a little bit of cooldown reduction. It's going to start working also on the mythic reward. Might get it if this is going to be a long game. So, let's see. Entomb is out. In comes Sven, trying to pressure Anduin. The ley line on the other hand, and Leo disengaging once more as Sweden pushes the opponent off the point and takes the lead on Shrine Minions once again. They're about to grab the second Punisher. It's a frozen Punisher this time, and we still haven't seen a single kill. It's absolutely on edge. If anybody takes a team fight here and just starts to snowball it, that game can flip so quickly. It's that half-level advantage that we still see for Sweden. But yeah, both teams are absolutely threading a needle here. Sylvanas is at the top. They go for Leo, and there it is. 9 minutes into the game, and we get first blood. Virgil activated his trait. Leo goes down, and that allows the Swedes to take down the fort. The Meatballs, they're doing well. Fantastic. So they're going full IKEA here. Well, we have level 13 now finally on both sides. Ukraine was trailing, and that's another advantage that the Swedes took into battle. So now we got healing static synergizing with level 4 talent. Medivh is one single stack short of finally getting his reward, by the way. And making sure that he can't lose any baseline stacks anymore. And there it is. 9.5 minutes in, and he is done. Good for him. So, Sylvanas still pushing in the middle. By now we have 90,000 siege damage. Definitely pushing past what we're getting from Blaze as a side laner, for example. Also doing well there. Most damage for Muradin, who's weaving those auto attacks in for his baseline quest. So he's sitting at 20,000 for the red team. On the blue team side, though, Vala, as you would expect, with 32,000, Genji with 21k. Both of them looking solid here. Again, the attack towards Muradin. Ooh. A jet propulsion. But he can still jump out. Not a problem for him. But the pressure continues. Sweden has destroyed the fort in the middle. And now they're aiming for more pressure at the bottom of the map. Quacknik sits topside with Genji and is pushing the lane out a little bit further. A few more mercenary camps on the map, but Ukraine is of course looking for fights now as well, especially before level 16 hits. They are starting to fall farther behind in experience, and this is becoming a problem. If you look at the XP contribution here, it's not really so much minion experience that we're talking about. There's a difference. Oh, they're trying to go for Whoopi. Bunker. Sven comes in. Leyline already out. And then Malfurion still busy with the heals. But Whoopi's in serious trouble now and goes down as the portal comes out. And that takes down the side laner. Jojo also eliminated, and the triple kill as Vala falls topside to Leoki. They tried to go for Leoric, the two of them, dropped the Entomb, went for the kill. 3 heroes die at the same time on the blue team side, and just like that, Ukraine flipped the script here. They come in with the lead in experience, the lead in kills. They remove some of the auto attack speed from Vala, and now they're looking just poised for the next objective with a level 16 talent in their hands as well. Whoopi gets caught on the camp. Ukraine locks the kill in, takes down Jojo afterwards, and now they're pushing aggressively for the middle, destroying the first fort on the blue team side. Momentum in their hands, closing the experience gap, and now having a shot to finally take some control over the game. And that's exactly what they're aiming for. Malfurion getting attacked and somehow able to make it out. Close call for him though, but he is able to escape. Leoki, alright, ghosting back out here. Immediately moving back. 78 stacks now. And the next shrine is active. Sweden has to reset. They gotta regroup here. They got Blaze at the top, but he's a bit late if he wants to take that camp. Decides against it. Vala in trouble, but the heals from Malfurion are strong and are keeping everybody alive. As now Quacknix with his ult. Dragon Blade for him. And they're taking control of the shrine and take the initial lead. Lots of shrine minions in their favor now. But obviously Team Ukraine just tapping at the fountain, trying to re-engage here. Medivh in trouble for just a second, but is able to get away. The ley line not really going anywhere, only trapping Genji for a moment. Whoopi, on the other hand, is again in trouble. Drops the bunker. They want him. Can they get him, though? The blue team is moving in to try and assist, but Whoopi is still gone. Too low in HP, couldn't be saved. Whoopi gone, 5 versus 4. Team Ukraine starting to take control of the shrine, but we still have a lead for Team Sweden that they could very well lose right now. So they need to make some choices here. Another catch, and this time it's Vala. They want her. Lock her down, and that's kill number 2 against Vala. 10% of the attack speed bonus are gone. Anduin is able to escape. Barely, but he does. And now Johanna gets murdered. Team Ukraine, with all the momentum in the world all of a sudden. They had huge problems. They couldn't win a Punisher. They were the first ones to lose a hero. They lost the fort in the middle, and then it just flipped when they got that triple kill. And now they're aggressively pushing in with portal after portal. Medivh making the plays. They're going for the squishies. They go for Malfurion. Captain Rex still alive, trying to get away from Muradin. And there's the Stormbolt, where the heals the root, and he makes it. Nice. Muradin not able to get that kill, but the team is able to get that fort on the bottom of the map. Leo had to defend the top side. They lost more hit points on the fort here. But, well, we'd be lying to say that Ukraine is not taking the lead here. So yes, they are looking better and better. 94 stacks for Muradin. Just noting it here because it obviously matters a little bit in the context of the mythical reward now being set down to 160. He's still a fair amount away from that, but it is, I'd say, within grasp depending on how long the game will last. Only one level missing until the red team hits level 20 talents. We have also, for Vala now, 280 stacks, so she's already pushed past her first reward. So, great news for her. Sweden now aggressively looking for some opportunities themselves. Looking for any chance that they can get to get a kill. Jumping in, but here comes the light bomb. Once more, they're going for Vala. She's a bit low. Azzy trying to escape here. Bunker is out. And Vala is just whacking away. 180 stacks, die twice, but still has all the damage through Manticore. But they lose Genji and they lose Blaze. Ukraine, well-oiled machine right there. And that is 2 down, and they might lose more on the retreat. With all of the camps in the middle now too, Muradin eats that Stormbolt, and there's the kill. They are absolutely showing no mercy here. Team Ukraine with level 20 talents now in their hands, 51,000 damage on Sylvanas. Vala still with 59k ahead of everyone else, but they're not able to get those kills right now. And it's a problem, it's a big problem. Sylvanas has 330 stacks, and here comes the first push for the keep in the middle. They catch Jojo. Sven able to get away here. Sven is able to move out, but all he does is buy them a bit of time, which, to be fair, they need. They won't be able to save their keep, but if they can at least save the core, that would, of course, already be a huge win here. So, time will tell. The job for the blue team is clear. They need 20. They need Storm Talents. They need the XP on the lanes in order to get all of that done. And that's going to be the first move that's going to make from here on out. Try to get onto the lanes, take those minion waves out, and make it to Storm Talents so that they can fight on even footing with the opponent again. That's essentially what this is going to come down to. And yeah, so they're going to try. Let's see how this is going to work for them. Currently everybody has to retreat in order to deal with the push at the top lane. They're still down by 8 kills and 1 level. Yeah, it's a tricky one. It's definitely a tricky situation for them. Especially since the early game, I would have favored them a little bit. With the pressure that they built on all the lanes, it looked very good for them. You can still see that both of these forts are low. If at any point they're getting to 20 and start winning big team fights, they can flip this quickly. But right now, they are in trouble. And it shows. So somehow they have to deal with that situation, and that's not going to be easy at all. Not even trying, by the way, to go for the shrine, at least initially. Instead, we are having a move down to the bottom of the map, I suppose, to maybe even take down that fort. But if they don't have enough vision, they can't even make that move, and that's a problem. So once that they have a bit more of an idea where the opponent is positioned, this makes things a lot easier. But yeah, it's a bit of a spicy one right now. Camps are being taken. Everything that they can do in order to get themselves a little bit of experience is, of course, a win. So they're going to try and pull that off. And they're getting closer. Any moment now, Storm Talents for them as well. And then it's time to fight. But they will have to defend against the Punisher that Ukraine is definitely getting. Malfurion starts things off with the Lunar Shower. We get Fortified Bunker. The Dragon becomes me for Genji. We get Farflight Quiver and Radiating Faith for Johanna. So here's the moment. And Sylvanas, by the way, is nearly done with her quest now as well. That means a lot of sustain for her. So this topside push has to be stopped first, and then they can take it from there. But they at least can now fight back. And they got a nice push at the bottom of the map, which will destroy the fort here. So they're going to get some structural damage in. But of course, it comes at a very heavy price. At this point, the battle raging on top side. The Entomb is already out. The ley line as well. Bunker in play, instantly being used. They're trying to push them back here, and a few of them are already low, but Genji needs to be cautious as he comes in with his own ult. It's a Frozen Punisher this time too. Quacknick's in trouble, and he gets killed. Genji down. That's a 5 versus 4. Vala is on the run. Leo aggressively pushing time and time again. Leyline, Medivh cheating as he always does. Hits 2 with them. And they are desperately trying to defend. They need to at least hold the core here, get Quacknix back into the game, and with a bit of luck, at least get a kill. But the keep is gone, and the Punisher is down to 50%. So here comes the attack as Ukraine is pushing for the lead in the best-of-3 series. The second keep destroyed, and they might get more kills here. Whoopi is low as he's low, trying to escape, vaults away again, and gets dropped. And this is probably all she wrote here. 5 Ukrainian players still on the core, and they're taking down everyone that they can find. Sven is low, gets killed. It's a 5-man team wipe. The entire team destroyed, and Sweden loses game number 1 of the best-of-3 series against Team Ukraine here in Group E of the Nations Cup. GG. I hope all of you guys are enjoying the Nations Cup. We have an epic event on hand right now, and it's tons of fun. But please keep in mind that events like the Nations Cup, like Meta Madness, the Bounty Cup, and many other tournaments that we've been running on the channel here to support Heroes Esports are only possible through either private supporters or campaigns that we have with partners on the channel. And right now, we have a campaign going on where you can support the channel for free and with a minimum of investor time. All that you gotta do is download Opera GX, which is a browser that has an integrated VPN, has tons of themes and other features that are directly targeted at gamers. But if you download the browser through the link below and install it, maybe watch a video or two on YouTube, watch a live stream, or just play around with it a little bit, that already is enough to support the channel here. I would really appreciate if you could take a few minutes of your time to do exactly that. As I said before, it's absolutely free, doesn't cost you anything, and I've actually seen quite a few people that then even switched over because they prefer the browser to others. Be it as it may, if you want to support the channel, there's an easy way to do it. So thank you very much in advance, and enjoy the rest of the show today. Map number 2, Sky Temple. So Sweden is behind. Ukraine, the top dog in the group, for sure. We got in Group E, Ukraine, Sweden, Czechia, and UK number 2, the second seed team from UK. But right here in the best-of-3 series, the blue team, they got to step it up a little bit if they want to get first place in the group, because so far Ukraine is running the show. They already played one series. I believe it was... Actually, I don't really remember if they played against Czechia or against the UK. I can look that up later. But they won their first match, so that is just a given. So they already have one win within the group. And for Sweden to get the number 1 spot, they gotta take Ukraine down. Or they have to hope for some really big upsets later on. So we'll see how this plays out for them. Now, obviously, we have a draft rule also in the tournament. Every single hero can only be picked once, which means that, for example, Medivh, who was a huge pain in the butt in game number 1, cannot be played again. That's definitely something that's going to factor in here too. Sky Temple, also a bit of a different map, and map choice was actually made by the blue team. So Sweden decided that first pick, first ban isn't really important to them. They prioritized going for the map, which obviously in the context of this being a team that features Quacknix immediately reminds me of the McDonald's strategy, the fast food strategy that they executed. Now, this can't be played anymore because we had too many game changes since then. But in the old HGC days, this was still an absolute blast. So a bit of a blast from the past right there. But yeah, so with this, we now have already our bans in globals have been targeted right away. And we also have Hanzo eliminated. After Genji has been played, his brother gets no love. Not only from the players, I think from the audience too, so everybody hates him. But yeah, let's see what Sweden is going to try and pull off here right now. I mean, it was a pretty cool game, but at some point, just Ukraine, you know, it just, the entire balance just tilted, and they took full control there. So, great job by them. Can they do it again on map 2, or is this where Sweden will turn it around? Because you want to have the number 1 spot in the group. Number 2 still gets you in the last chance qualifier, but of course, that's going to be a tough one to break through. So, we'll see who's going to be able to do that. For now, we got Brightwing and ETC, whereas Lopaka locks in Hogger for the red team. And for Ukraine, this is a great start here. They did already good job in the group in the first place. Now we're coming through with a victory on the first map against Sweden, so they should be in high spirits here. They haven't won this series yet, so this is something that they will still have to step up a bit. But, yeah, we'll see. We get Rhaegar for that burst heal, a lightning shield, and a Nubarak. So we're already going to see some dive from them. The one thing that we could definitely also get is a few heroes that are doing well in any kind of boss fight, because this is oftentimes what Sky Temple comes down to, that you have a battle for the boss. A team, for example, that is behind in experience around just before level 20 will oftentimes trigger a fight on the boss just to make sure that the team that is going to hit Storm Talons won't be able to get it more or less for free and then push with a level 20 advantage and a boss. So they will force a fight no matter if it's a good position or not. And so yeah, there's obviously a lot of shenanigans going on around level 10, level 20, sometimes even level 16 talents, where teams are willing to take certain risks around it. So if you run Tyrael with Sanctification, that can do well. Falstad, in this case banned, but oftentimes then played with Gust, as they're trying to use that. And yeah, time will tell. We'll see how they're going to play this one out. But yeah, so right now we got a final ban on Chen and on the Panda. Back in the day, Chen was a... sorry, on Greyman and the Panda. There we go. Back in the day, Chen was also a big part of the... There's Tyrael! Chen was a big part of the McDonald's strategy. And here comes a Junkrat together with Tyrael. So Tyrael currently in the hands of Whoopi. Now they could swap this around, but this would mean that he very likely is going to be played as a side laner. Yrel banned, by the way, against Whoopi in particular. Just in case you weren't aware. Whoopi was Mr. Yrel. He was the guy that played Yrel over and over again in HGC and had an absurd win rate with him. We get Deathwing and Cassia as the final choices for Team Ukraine. Deathwing definitely one of the winners of the last patch, so he's getting played a lot more now. That baseline quest is obviously still absurd and is essentially never completed. At least I haven't seen it yet in competitive play. But still, very, very good changes for Deathwing. A lot more playtime for him right now. Stitches is jealous. And our final pick for map number 2. Match point, of course, for Team Ukraine. And we get Orphea. So, ladies and gentlemen, Sky Temple. Map number 2. Well, here it is, match point for Team Ukraine. Sweden has to win 2 in a row now. The blue team starting over on the left with Sven on Tyrael, Whoopi on ETC. So, as kind of expected, they swapped ETC towards the side laner. He's going to go stage dive. It's kind of old school, picking ETC early and then deciding during the draft whether they're playing him as a main tank or a side laner. Both possible, but making adaptations to what the opponent picks. Captain Rex on Brightwing, we got Azio on Orphea this time, and Quacknix on Junkrat. Movements on Junkrat and some of the animations actually have been modded after Quacknix and a victory dance at the mid-season brawl. Virgil on Deathwing for Team Ukraine, we got Roby Kenobi and Rhaegar. Blu-ray on Anubarak, Yoshiro on Cassia, and Lopaka is playing Hogger. Couple of stacks for Cassia coming in right away at the start of the game. Keep in mind that those watchtowers will lose control after a while, so 45 seconds is, I believe, currently the timer. So after the time period, the watchtowers go back to neutral, which means that if you take one and you want to maintain that control and that vision, then you have to send somebody back in order to deal with that. So one of the things to pay a little bit of attention to as you go. But generally speaking, for most people, it will be that big of a deal. Down at the bottom of the map now, Siege Giants about to be claimed as well. Getting Whoopi with a bit of a global in is also going to get it interesting, because keep in mind that one of the things that happened very quickly in the draft is that essentially all of the globals were very quickly banned out. Falstad and Dehaka, of course, in particular. So right now, just Deathwing with a little bit of Terror. He obviously has some global presence as well that he can bring into play. Especially, well, in the past, it was more so important that you would play around the one at the bottom of the map, so that was a really important one. We'll see how that goes. And, well, down at the bottom of the map, still that fight on lane. So, top side, bit of pressure coming in too. That's when we're having the mercenary camp kick in. I mean, they went really quickly for both of their camps. If you can look at the minimap, you will see that we don't have the hard camp the Bruiser camp taken yet by the blue team. But with Hogger in their team, they essentially went for both of the camps immediately and started to apply pressure at the bottom and the top of the lane. So a bit of structural damage already done against the Swedish team, who will have to respond to that, of course, and try and get some value out of their own camp right there. But yeah, and Uberak sniffing that out already. And Uberak is immediately there. Sven was close enough though, so Blu-ray is scouting this out and is making them maybe a bit worried, but there is no follow-up by the rest of the team. But just the fact alone that he just jumps into there real quickly and says hello is already quite nice. So yeah, I'm liking it. A little bit of aggression down at the bottom of the map or in the middle here as well. Thunderstroke currently sitting on 8 stacks. For Ukraine, everything is of course flowing together very well. And now we have the first set of temples about to be activated. Middle and top spawning first. And down at the bottom of the map, Quacknix still with his Junkrat. Fnatic got robbed when it comes to a mount. They won a mid-season brawl, so they actually won a massive tournament. And Blizzard did not give them a Fnatic mount, which was absolutely insane. To the day, I still think that they got robbed there. But they have, with Quacknix, at least a player who stood model, so to say, for some of the hero animations. So Junkrat is modeled partly after him. But yeah, still crazy to me. That was absolutely insane. Now, either way, we're now having all the way up at the top, Whoopi starting to push in together with Captain Rex. They need some damage here too if they really want to have a shot, but they're already applying some pressure at least. In the middle, the red team has also taken control. So even with a level 7 talent for Team Sweden, things are actually looking pretty alright now for Team Ukraine. They got the initial shots fired, still have control over the middle temple, and are potentially pushing back into the temple top side. For now, though, Action is going to give Whoopi a few more shots. But they haven't really done a whole lot here. They haven't even destroyed the entire wall yet. So topside wall is destroyed on the blue team. Down here, a bit of aggression against Cassia as the blue team was trying to pressure this back too. So a more or less even trade, but all in all, Team Ukraine maybe a tiny bit ahead in structures. Not really by a lot though. And if you figure in that at the bottom of the map, the wall has also taken damage, you might even be able to ignore that completely. But yeah, we'll see how this one is going to play out when we have the next few big team fights. For now, both of the teams are at level 8. We're roughly 5 minutes into the game, and we haven't seen a kill yet. It's honestly a little bit reminiscent of what we've seen in game number 1. That also reminds me a bit of HGC, I gotta admit. Obviously, these days there's a lot of hyper-aggression and a lot of brawling happening. But in the days of HGC, teams really knew when to retreat, when to engage, and that oftentimes led to at least the early game not being that kill heavy in a lot of matches. And this is a bit like it. There's a lot on the line here. There's a huge difference whether or not you get number 1 or number 2 in the group. And both of them do not want to give the opponent to get away with an early advantage and potentially snowball that. So HGC still waiting for his global. We have now Deathwing coming through in the mid lane and helping the team out, trying to stop the push that is being executed by Sven, who's still playing frontline for the team. And then obviously at the top side we got Whoopi, who by the way has gone for Hammer On as his level 7 talent. So we didn't go Echo Paddle here for the added wave clear, which you oftentimes see if ETC is played as the side laner and will eventually go for a stage dive. Bit of a chase going on in the middle too, so they were trying to go for Sven, Brightwing to the rescue. And seems like even with Rhaegar and his totems, they're not going to be able to lock him down for long. Bit of a counter attempt against Rhaegar, that didn't really do anything either. And now with the Siege Giants at the bottom of the map, Quacknix still has the tools to dish out some extra damage against the wall here. So yeah, he's also doing a bit of work and is able to take another tower down. This obviously being one of the maps where it's quite important that you are doing damage against the opponent's structures as quickly as you can. If you are able to pull that off without the objective, then hey, fantastic. That essentially puts you in a position where later on with the temples, you can potentially extend that advantage even further. Tensai in, Valkyrie misses, Riptire on Deathwing, and there's the kill. Deathwing goes down. First blood once again for Sweden. And this time they're coming through with a double kill. Orphea taking down 2. Deathwing and Cassia both gone. Rhaegar in trouble. Sven went too deep. Tries to go for the doggy. Not able to pull that off and at least explodes on the fort. Still a 2-for-1 trade in favor of Team Sweden. And the shots are now being fired. That fort might be the first one that falls in the game. Good aggression from Sweden in that battle at the bottom of the map. A slight leading experience now for them as well. Judgment for Tyrael, so they go full aggression on this. And could theoretically even sync that up more often with Stage Dive. Quark is already back at the top. Trying to push Deathwing back here. That's the first one that they were able to take down. So Virgil was eliminated. And now all the shots fired. Fort indeed destroyed. And the final few hits are coming in against the mid lane fort. So even more damage done by Team Sweden. So, they are slowly coming back here. They're bringing it in. Now, experience is still very, very even. Oh, Rhaegar, deep dive by Sven on Tyrael. Jumping in deep on this one. They want the fight. ETC. Got caught by Deathwing here for just a second. But there's the quick play and they're already retreating. And the Valkyrie not hitting right now. That's the second Valkyrie that they threw out, and this is another one that they were not able to connect with the opponent's team. So yeah, a little bit unfortunate for them here. Ukraine still looking for a few more kills and getting some work done. Early level 13 talents though for the blue team, I would assume. Not really a big lead or anything. Big of an advantage, I suppose, but nothing that they will be able to massively use, so there's not really a massive window of opportunity or anything of the sorts. But you can see how aggressive Anubarak already is in his positioning here. So really trying to make sure that he has a good spot to lock him down if they see an opportunity on this. For now, still totally fine though. Another camp about to be taken. Sven is nearby, so even if there was an invade, he could help them. But Team Ukraine is now going for the Siege Giants, which has instantly been sniffed out by the Swedes. But they still lose the Siege Giants. Siege Giants are taken. So those are already gone. 2 more temples up in 30. Here comes Judgment. And the big hits from Orphea. Beautiful combo. The Rhaegar Ragdoll getting absolutely murdered as well. And with the support gone, Ukraine might be in trouble here. Riptire went absolutely nowhere in that situation. Deathwing is trying to get out. And it seems like everyone else on the red team is able to retreat. But check out this kill. And have a look at Rhaegar's Ragdoll after he died. So they were able to just tee this up perfectly. I mean, everything just played out so well there. The Eternal Feast, ETC coming in with a huge dive. So yeah, this was fantastic. And this is now 3 kills to 1 for Sweden. Timing was of course great, and they are starting to take more control of these shots. ETC is at the top lane, down at the bottom of the map, still a battle, but ooh! Rhaegar gets a kill against Orphea in the middle of the map. Talking about things that probably shouldn't have happened here. So Orphea is gone. Deathwing rather low. ETC will have to retreat now that he's up against 2. Yoshiro, by the way, is having no luck with his ult. This is, I think, the first Valkyrie that just went absolutely nowhere. So we can talk about zoning Valkyries here, I suppose. Battle down at the bottom of the map. Seems like Blu-ray's in trouble. And Nubarak and Noob got wrecked. He's gone. And that puts it into a 4 versus 2. Deathwing immediately trying to get away here. He's the one with the big hitbox, so they already know that they have to get him out as quickly as they can. And he actually makes it. No, the tire! And Junkrat gets another kill. 5 kills to 2. Ukraine is definitely struggling, but they took out the top side fort. Now, Yoshiro is still on the run here, playing around vision a bit, and might escape. Or not. This is going to be a close call here. It doesn't really seem like Cassia is able to retreat here. Cassia likely going to fall. There's the last and final slap, and that is the end of her. 6 kills to 2. Full level advantage, and of course now the boss play at the bottom of the map. Sweden looking much better now in game number 2 than they did on the first map. So fantastic for them. Still need to check out, of course, where this is going, because they have a much better position now than they ever had in the first game. But of course, you shouldn't underestimate Ukraine. These guys know how to fight back, and well, They proved it in game number 1 already, and they're going to try and do the same thing here. One big team fight victory, and they're going to potentially have a lead again. So we'll see how this is going to work out. For now, Cam's claimed. That's where Sweden comes in again and gets big value. So yeah, good for them. Pushing for the bottom of the map now with the boss itself. And the problem for Ukraine is they still don't have level 16. They don't have level 16 talents. 32,000 damage for Fia. This time the Valkyrie connects. As he is able to get away though. Here comes Deathwing, Hortapult, and Anubarak is gone. Anubarak is gone again. They go for Yoshiro, Cassia, but it is Orphea that dies. Cassia is able to get out. Deathwing body blocked and murdered. 2-for-1 trade still in favor of the blue team. Big damage against the key, but it seems like Ukraine is going to be able to hold on to it and might actually pick up a few more kills. ETC was too deep. Wooby gets punished and eliminated. And now they're going for Captain Rex, who needs a jump point and gets it. But it's still not so... Yeah, it's not happening. So there's the next kill. 3 down. And that's exactly what happens. You give the Ukrainians an opportunity and they will take it. And immediately they jumped on the chance that they got multiple kills, closed the experience gap a little bit, 8 kills to 5 now, with the double temple coming up, so there's now a lot of momentum on the map for the red team. So as much as Sweden was already able to do in this game, as many structures as they've been able to destroy, they still haven't won this yet. And thanks to the double temple, Ukraine is now going to eliminate a lot. It seems that in structures, we are essentially going to draw even here. That's a lot of shots fired, and even more. So those keeps will likely not take a lot of damage. Most likely we're going to see everything just soaked up by the wall. But this is still a bit of a problem. Azzy! Oh, the Ancestral! And then still the big chomp. And Cassia. There's no way she gets out here. Absolutely no way. You gotta be kidding me. Yoshiro is able to escape. Now they go for Rhaegar. They're trying to take the dog down. And at least one of them has to fall. Rhaegar is dead. Azzy somehow makes it and gets a heal, but boy, oh boy, was this close. And the fact that Cassia made it out here is just crazy. Deathwing is coming in, gets an insta-slap, and they're trying to turn on him. Blue team is a little bit low, but they're still in play here. The cocoon on Orphea doesn't last very long with them eliminating it, and Blu-ray might have gone a bit too deep. Gets targeted, here's the stage dive, and ETC just pancakes Anubarak with Brightwing coming in for the final hit and eliminating him. There are still some shots left on those shrines. Something to keep in mind here. They got a couple more shots in play. Orphea, though, goes down as the fight still rages on in the middle of the map. Ukraine hasn't given up on this yet. But Sweden should maybe fall back here, and they don't, which means that ETC gets killed, and all of a sudden it's a 3 versus 4 on the map in favor of Ukraine. Guys, what started out as a game where we didn't get too many big fights is all of a sudden an endless brawl that just doesn't stop. Shots are being fired on both sides, kills are coming in hot and heavy. We have level 20 kicking in for Sweden in just a few seconds. Brightwing helping out at the top now, 70 stacks by now for Cassia, and it is getting nasty here. They're putting Brightwing into a corner. The Riptire comes out, pushes them back, and the Fruit Fly is still alive. Sven, on the other hand, playing with vision a little bit. They know where he is, and he's still able to get away. But there's a camp to be grabbed, and they come in for it right away. Now, level 20 is about to be ready. ETC will be back in 10 seconds. And Sven made it out. So he just hearths out. And now that they have their level 20 talent, justice will be delivered. The Angel is ready. Brightwing is marshalling her invisible friends. We get Eldritch Conduit and the Cannonball. So everybody is getting good and ready for this. With level 10 abilities, obviously, starting to now also being delivered by the team in red. Any moment. Don't really have a lot that they have to go through here. So yeah, level 20 will be ready in a bit. Very likely for the next fight. Anything else would be a surprise. But, well, Anubarak pops his nose out a little bit too early, and all of a sudden, they're taking him down again. So Anubarak now down for the 4th time in this game, and the chase is on immediately. That obviously was also sponsored by the Angel of Justice. I think they actually could have followed that a little bit further because the cooldown is about to be ready again. Deathwing with a superhero landing as they're trying to go for it. 3 seconds for Tyrael to have his ult back. Kill attempt on Brightwing. Or ETC is gone. Orphea still alive. They're trying to go for Deathwing, but there's the kill. A 4 versus 5 and Team Ukraine wins it. Judgment kicks in. Tyrael tries to get out. The rest is on the run too. The last few fights haven't gone well for Team Sweden. They came in with the early aggression to eliminate Anubrak and did. And then all of a sudden, they still lost ground here. And well, now we're having the next big play made. And it is actually the opponent. It is Team Ukraine that is able to get themselves a quick boss here from the looks of it. So, it's a little bit of a wild one. Sweden is making some cool calls where they're getting quick kills. But the problem that they still have is that afterwards they are still losing the team fight. And for Ukraine is of course great. I mean, Ukraine is in a position where they are in a 4 versus 5 and they just say, hey guys, we can still take this one. They jump in and they win the battle. So, great for them. Very, very clean plays now. And it is actually Sweden that is starting to fall behind. With all of the aggression that we've seen from them, with all of the good plays, Sweden is in danger of being eliminated on the second map. They're not going to be kicked out of the group yet, but, well, they would start into Group E with a loss if they don't win on Sky Temple. And now there's a boss at the bot lane that is pushing that they somehow have to deal with. And, of course, shots fired through the middle. So Ukraine is starting to take control of the game again, very similar to what we've already witnessed in game number 1. And they are trying to run the same playbook here. Late game is their territory, from the looks of it. Sven is looking for targets, always ready for another judgment. Question is, what can they do with that now? Can they make a play here or not? But, yeah. For now, we got topside ETC starting to push. I mean, again, have to be a little bit careful how this plays now. The fort in the middle, the keep in the middle has been destroyed. The other keeps have taken damage. It's still one team fight that you need to win, a big one, and you can always, you know, bring that back. If you look at the keep at the bottom of the map, you win one team fight, you go through here, and you go straight for the core. Same obviously true for Ukraine. If they win another big team fight, then they have an open corridor through the mid lane, straight towards the core of the Swedes, and can make this a 2-0 victory. And they're certainly gonna try. So, who takes the next win? Who wins the next battle? That's the question. Damage output, 76,000 for Hogger, 53,000 for Cassia. We got Junkrat with 54,000, Orphea with 53, so all of them doing alright here. But yeah, Hogger is the one that is the biggest problem. Lopaka just carrying the damage numbers for the team thus far. It's gonna get intense. Very likely the next big fight is gonna be it. Next big team fight is very likely where this is going to be decided. So, yeah. Time will tell. Right now, we got over on the right side. The next camp taken is obviously one of the few things that the teams can all do right now. Focus on the camps a little bit. Boss is not going to be up for a couple of minutes. We have a double temple activating, and Wubi with the global is now moving down towards the bottom of the map. Another reason is that they need to deal with the siege giants and take those out as quickly as possible. So that's the next play here. Couple of shots fired, but as already mentioned, this is essentially going to come down to a team fight. Very unlikely that this is going to be decided by temples alone and only on the macro level. ETC is taking the bot lane. That actually is going to eliminate the keep down here. So this keep is gone. This keep is gone. Still doesn't change the fact that just pure temple control and temple trades are favoring Ukraine. Because they are now going to eliminate the keep at the top and then take the keep at the bottom. So they need team fights. ETC comes in. Judgment into the back. Deathwing saying hello. This is it, guys. This is the battle. And this time the Valkyrie connects. And Orphea is completely isolated into a corner. Deathwing follows up on the initial kick by Cassia. That's a kill. That's a double kill if Wubi goes down. And he does. And all of a sudden a 5 versus 3. Team Ukraine on their way to victory. A fantastic comeback in game number 2 of the series. Doing really well here. So, fantastic play. The Ukrainians never giving up, always waiting for opportunities and then taking full advantage of them. And it just pays off. 101 stacks now for Cassia. She's getting the numbers in. She's getting the damage here. Hogger has been playing a fantastic game. They are getting shots fired through the temples. All of the keeps will be destroyed through that. It only leaves the core, and this is essentially sealing the deal. A defense at this point would be an absolute miracle from the perspective of Team Sweden. I don't think they can recover from this. It's basically impossible. The core is already going down, and Deathwing is at the bottom of the map, making sure that they're winning this one way or another. Rhaegar gets killed. It doesn't matter. Deathwing has control at the bot lane. The shots will be fired here. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is a 2-0 victory for Team Ukraine as they are cementing their #1 position in Group E of the tournament. GG.